Olha o contra-ataque aí. Vem que vem o time avançando rápido pela meio de campo. Bola dominada no pé do camisa 10. Ele vai pra cima, passou pelo primeiro, passou pelo segundo. E bateu a grande área, vai chutar. Bateu, é gol! Que golaço, minha gente!
A experiência de futebol mais autêntica já criada para os games. Junte-se no 5x5 Rush, a nova maneira de jogar com os amigos e leve seu clube para a vitória. EA Sports FC 25. Dê tudo pelo clube. Já disponível.
Meu nome é Cairo Santos e eu sou o kicker e único brasileiro jogando na NFL. Cada chute, cada jarda conquistada, cada passo me levou para mais perto dos meus sonhos. Agora, a cada R$200 em compras com seu Visa cadastrado, você tem a chance de ficar mais perto do sonho de assistir ao Super Bowl 59. E usando o seu cartão de débito, você ainda concorre a prêmios diários de até R$1.000. Não importa o tamanho do seu sonho, dê o primeiro passo. Visa, apoiando seus passos aonde você quiser chegar.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well, at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back, everybody. Episode 545. We are going to get into my power rankings and my Rams Up straight up picks heading into week 5. And how about that? The Rams' Jared Verse named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Month. Great kudos for our young edge rusher. And you know what? He looks the part of a future Pro Bowler. That's what we've been saying. And finally getting some recognition. Now, Jared, we just need a bunch of sacks. Go out and start getting them. Starting this week at SoFi against the Packers, please. Get to some news and notes here. It looks like Darius Williams is going to play, and that could be really big for this Rams secondary. See how the Rams deploy their other guys. Williams going to take over CB1 duties, we would presume. Where does that leave Trey White, Kobe Durant? Could have a trickle-down effect in a good way. Who's going to be the odd man out? Cam Kinchins, if Quentin Lake slides back to full-time safety duties. Kobe Durant, would they dare bench Trey White? And most of us are dying to see Omar Speights out there as one of our inside linebackers. Don't know if it's going to happen anytime soon. Maybe we'll see that after the bye. Doubt it's going to happen this week against Green Bay. Going to share some random stats here of interest as we head into this Green Bay game. Tutu Atwell is indeed the Rams' leading receiver now, 223 yards, just under 20 yards per catch, not bad. Ronnie Rivers averaging 5.1 yards per carry, only has 10 carries though. The team's longest run this year, 14 yards. Still no one other than Cooper Kupp or Kyren Williams has scored a TD for this team this year. Quentin Lake still leading the charge on the defense, 37 total tackles. Braden Fisk has both of the team's fumble recoveries as well as one forced fumble, and no player on this active 53 has an interception this year. The Rams' lone interception going to John Johnson. Now, I'm sorry, a lot of that's deflating. Kind of just emphasizes what we all kind of know. This Rams offense and defense has their issues right now, but maybe, just maybe, this is the week we get it turned around. Time for our Week 5 power rankings out of my top 12 stack up heading into Week 5. And no, you're not going to hear about our Los Angeles Rams. Sorry to say, they didn't even make it into the green room, and they don't deserve it. I think they're going to be back. I still think they're going to make a little run. We're going to hear from our Los Angeles Rams, but not this week. That's all I have to say about them in regards to our power rankings anyways. Now, if they beat the Packers, maybe they'll elevate themselves into my green room, but getting ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about our top 12, and we're going to start at the bottom. We'll start with number 12. But first, who's in my green room? Well, 2 3-1 teams are in my green room outside of the top 12. Last week's number 11 Seattle Seahawks and last week's number 12, the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I was pretty adamant. I don't think these teams have really proven that much yet. You got to give them credit for their wins, but if you look at who they've beaten and how they have won, I'm sorry. I just think people were jumping the gun, putting them in the top 2, 3, 4, and 5. And sure enough, they both lost, and they're in my green room. And maybe we'll hear from them again soon. We'll see. And who else? The Cowboys 2-2. They managed to beat the Giants in New York on a Thursday night. Lost a couple of players, key defensive players, DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons, but they'll be back. Still a solid team. They have underperformed for sure, though. And, two teams that I think, we can't totally dismiss at this point, the Chargers and the Falcons, both 2-2. Falcons, man, they stole a win there. Raheem Morris and his team still alive. And the Chargers playing pretty good football. They just seem like their offense is just missing something. They win old school. But if they fall behind, I'm not sure they can put points up on the board. And Justin Herbert, man, he just seems like he's always banged up. Maybe it's just me. But let's get into our top 12. Who do we have? Top 12, starting with number 12. Who do we got? Well, at number 12, dropping 7 spots, the Philadelphia Eagles. They go into Tampa Bay and kind of throw a dud. Bucs beat them pretty handily. So they drop 7 spots. I don't know what to do with them. I still think that their leadership there, their locker room, maybe there's something going on there. We know how last year ended, and this year it's been a little bit up and down. They seem like they have the talent to win games like that against the Bucs, and they shouldn't have to rally to beat the Saints. So lucky to beat the Saints in New Orleans the week before. But have them hanging there at number 12. They do drop 7 spots with the loss to the Bucs. And my number 11 team dropping 4 spots, the Green Bay Packers. You ding them for falling behind 28-0 at home to the Vikings, and you give them a little bit of street cred for bouncing back and making a game of it. But still, that's a pretty poor showing out of the gate in a divisional game with your starting quarterback back, Jordan Love. Maybe he's not 100%. So, and the Packers come to LA. Hopefully the Rams catch them snoozing again and can jump out to a lead and beat the Packers. We'll have to see. So they've won twice with Malik Willis. They've lost twice with Jordan Love. Kind of strange. My number 10 team, last week's number 10, holding steady even though they lost the New Orleans Saints. And why? That loss at home, their last 2 losses actually have been really painful. Actually, the last loss was in Atlanta. The previous one was in New Orleans. And the loss to the Eagles, man, that as I said in the pod the other day, it kind of sucks to be a Rams fan right now, 1-3, but at least we're not dealing with what Saints fans are dealing with and some of these other teams, these excruciating losses. Those 2 for the Saints are as bad as it gets, but they're still a good football team. They could very easily be 4-0. Keep that in mind. I have them as my number 10 team. And my number 9 team, they were not ranked last week. I had them outside the top 12. I think they're in my green room, if I remember correctly. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers moving up to number 9. And hey, Baker Mayfield, he is playing like one of the better quarterbacks in the league. Shout out to him. And hopefully he's given a shout out to Sean McVay on a regular basis. Sean McVay helped rejuvenate his career. I think he had a lot to do with it. Mayfield playing lights out and had, 347 yards passing, 3 TDs against that Eagle defense. And number 8, moving up 1 spot, the Houston Texans, less than stellar performance against the Jags, a Jags team that I thought they'd probably blow out. And that's following a week where they got hammered by the Vikings. Are the Vikings hammering everybody? It seems like it. So maybe we shouldn't ding teams for losing to the Vikings. Who saw that coming? But the Texans, led by C.J. Stroud, number 8. And moving up, number 7, their first appearance in the top 12. hadn't even been in the green room. Hey, give it up for the Washington Commanders, number 7. This is, you know, Commanders fans must be going through something very similar to what Ram fans went through in 1999. The Rams got it going right out of the gate. Commanders lost their first game, but all of a sudden, hammering the Cardinals. This is a sudden. I guess it's a good football team. Is it all Jaden Daniels? You got me. I haven't really watched that much of them, to be honest with you, but I have a feeling they're going to be on TV more and more. I have to look and see how many primetime games they have. That may be something the NFL may want to modify. Find a way to get the Commanders on national TV, please. And number 6, moving up 2 spots, the San Francisco 49ers. Hey, at home against the Patriots. A little shorthanded still. You'd expect them to win this, and they did. Deebo Samuel's back, by the way. And moving up 1 spot, the Detroit Lions, slowly climbing back up into my rankings. I think I had them as low as number 10 after that loss to the Bucs. They take care of the Seahawks. And, something good going on there in Detroit. There really is. Things bouncing their way. Jared Goff, precise. Really good day, 18 for 18, if you didn't see it. And we saw that from Jared Goff. I'll never get over how much fans and so-called experts dismissed him. He's a really good quarterback. He has his shortcomings. He's not perfect. Pretty darn good quarterback, and this Lions team is playing really well right now. And number 4, and I think this is the lowest I've ever had them, at least in a couple of years, as long as I can remember, the Kansas City Chiefs. And what do you do with the Chiefs? Still got the best coach in the league, perhaps, Andy Reid. Best quarterback in the league, Patrick Mahomes. They lose their starting running back. They lose their number 1 wide receiver, Rice, taken out by their own guy, Patrick Mahomes, trying to make a tackle. I don't know what the heck he was thinking. Where does that leave the Chiefs? I don't think they're the best team in the league right now. And usually, when teams lose guys to injury, they're going to come back. They're going to get healthy. I don't know about Pacheco and Rice. So looking for the Chiefs to maybe make a trade. I talked about that on the pod the other night as well. And there could be a Ram in the mix there, someone that the Chiefs may make a run at. That's all I'm going to say about that, though. But Chiefs dropped to number 4, and dropping from number 1 to number 3, the Bills. Going to give them a little bit of a pass, losing to a really good football team, the Baltimore Ravens. But coming into this game, man, it was the Bills and the Vikings were just road grading everybody. A little bump in the road, dropped 2 spots to number 3, no longer my number 1 team. And then my number 2 team, only 2-2 as far as wins losses go, but the Baltimore Ravens, 2 impressive wins. They go into Dallas, they win there, and then they beat the Bills, and getting it together. I had a feeling 0-2, it was going to start happening for the Ravens, and sure enough, it did. And my number 1 team, give it up. We gave it up already for the Commanders. Let's give it up for the Minnesota Vikings, 4-0, and doing it in impressive fashion. Sam Darnold, well, a couple of years ago, I thought the Rams should make a run at him as the backup to Matthew Stafford, an eventual successor, perhaps. And then he went to the 49ers and whatever. It didn't really happen for him there. Got into 1 game as far as I know, and that was the game the Rams won. And then he, goes over to Minnesota, and then they lose J.J. McCarthy. And it's like, oh, man, poor Vikings, Justin Jefferson, a really good team, seemingly a decent team, right? Good coach. And then they lose their quarterback. What's going to happen with the Vikings? And then all of a sudden, Sam Darnold playing lights out, and they're playing really good football. I haven't actually seen a lot of them, but I've seen the box scores. I've seen the scoreboards. And this is a team not to be discounted. And at this point, top 3 NFC teams, Lions, Commanders, Vikings. Yeah, and we could have an NFC championship game. I know it's extremely early. Commanders versus Vikings. And who would have saw that coming? Right now, again, things can change, but those 2 teams look really good. And the Lions got Can't discount the Lions. They might be the best well-rounded team of those teams. And then the 49ers, can't discount them either. They'll be there. They're going to end up being in the playoffs for sure, right? So that's it. That's my rankings, week 5 power rankings, top 12 in my green room, heading into week 5. Back in a second with our week 5 Rams Up Straight Up game picks. Time for my week 5 Rams Up Straight Up picks. And, everybody's been struggling this year in their straight up picks. It's been a very bizarre season so far. Lots of upsets, lots of really difficult games to pick, and people getting a lot of games wrong, to be quite honest with you. And I finally got back to even. And as pitiful as that may sound, I think you'll find a lot of people are in the same situation. I have caught and passed Pete Prisco, though. He's the one CBS expert that I have been tracking and comparing to just for fun. No offense, Pete, if you stumble across this. I think you do a good job, and I think I compare favorably to you, or pretty close anyways. And, well, we'll find out by the end of the year if that's true or not. Right now, I am dead even, 32 right, 32 wrong. Pete slipped to 31 and 33. I was 10 correct, 6 wrong this past week, week 4. Pete had 7 correct, 9 wrong. Now, we picked 5 games differently. We split on 5. 4 of them went my way, and that was the difference. I picked the Vikings, the Colts, the Bucks, and the Raiders, and he picked the Titans while I picked the Dolphins. So really broke my way in that regard. But let's see if I can keep it up week 5. There's a couple really tough games to pick. Let's get to it. Now we got some teams on bye, so a reduced slate. Let's get into it. My week 5 Rams Up Straight Up picks here. Okay, Thursday night, the Bucks at the Falcons. Falcons favored by 1.5. I thought it might be a pick'em game. And by the way, I have not looked at Pete's picks. I don't even think they're out when I'm recording this. But I'm going to roll with the Bucks. So the visitors have won the last 2 in this. And by the way, one thing I haven't spent enough time doing is looking at the history between these teams. I always look at the history between the Rams and their opponent, not so much all these game picks, but I did that a little bit this time. And visitors have been winning, and the last 2 games the visitors have won anyways. Series pretty dead even. The Bucks are up 31-30, and the Falcons, a very fortunate win, a 58-yard field goal to win last week. The Bucks trounced the Eagles after underperforming the prior week. The Bucks are the better team here. The Falcons are the home team, obviously. I'm going to roll with the Bucks. I think Baker Mayfield, he's been playing really well. This is a big game in this division. If the Bucks can win this, they're really going to be in the driver's seat as far as with respect to the Falcons anyways. We'll have to see what the Saints do. But a really critical game in the NFC South, and I'm going to take the Bucks. Then we have the Jets at the Vikings. Vikings favored by 2.5. I thought it might be more, but I think what the consensus will be that the Jets defense is going to throttle the Vikings a little bit, keep it a little bit lower scoring than what we've seen from the Vikings recently. They've just been putting points up on the board. So the Vikings are going to win this game. I think they're going to win it by more than 2.5. I just don't see if there's any other way of looking at this. These teams have only played 12 times, and Jets have a big edge, but the Vikings have won the last 3. So going with the Vikings here. Third game up here, Panthers at the Bears. Bears favored by 4. Now, if you watch that Rams-Bears game, I'm sorry, you can't really be impressed with the Bears. You can't... I don't think that was really a great performance by them. Rams kind of gave it away in a lot of ways. Bears earned it on the ground there late, and they won it with their red zone defense. The Panthers come in, and Andy Dalton's been getting it done. They have been competitive. I think the Bears are going to have a letdown, and I'm going to take the visitors in this one, and I'm probably going to be in the extreme minority just a gut feeling here. Panthers, Bears fans are all excited. They got their second win. Let's roll. Let's go, Caleb Williams. And I think the Panthers are going to spoil it for him real quickly. Ravens at the Bengals. Ravens favored by 2.5. Big AFC North game. The Bengals off to another slow start. Finally got their first win. They're 1-3. The Ravens started out at 0-2 as well, and they've won 2 straight, beating the Cowboys and the Bills. Pretty impressive. This is going to be a close game. This happens with the Bengals. I haven't done the research, but I can almost guarantee you they are a streaky team. Losing streaks to start the season, then they finally figure it out. If Joe Burrow stays healthy, they'll finish strong. If not, they're pretty much done. But I think the Ravens are, hey, you saw my power rankings. If you haven't seen them yet, I have the Ravens as my number 2 team right now, and they will win this game. The Bills at the Texans. Is this the game of the week? Texans have been struggling a little bit, underperforming. Got trounced by the Vikings, barely beat the Jags. I think the Bills are going to win this game. The Bills are favored by 1. They, a blip on the radar against the Ravens. Just one bad outing will give them a pass, as I tend to do. Good teams, they have bad outings, and I think that was a tough outing for the Bills. They'll bounce back and beat the Texans. The Colts at the Jags. Jags favored by 3 at home. Good outing by the Colts last week. Their run defense was atrocious for 2 weeks. Last 2 weeks, they've gotten it together. But I think the Jags, they've been close, and they're not a horrible team despite their record. They really aren't. I think they'll figure it out this week and get the win at home. Roll with the home team. Roll with the home team that is favored in this one. 2 teams that are, they're not bad football teams. Fairly even game, in my opinion. As the point spread would indicate, home team favored by 3. Vegas really sees it as a pretty even match. This is Joe Flacco versus Trevor Lawrence, by the way. Let's see what else we got. The Dolphins at the Patriots. The Dolphins, man. Wow, they've won. Let's see, they've won 6 out of the last 7 in this series, but their quarterback situation. Hey, maybe they'll make a trade for a quarterback. It might be wise for them to do that, because if they have just an average quarterback, if they had someone like Joe Flacco or Andy Dalton, Dolphins would probably still be contending for a playoff spot. But their current situation, that is not the case. Patriots favored by 1 at home. I think they're going to win this game. It's going to be a low scoring, a game that Patriots are going to are going to control the tempo of this game and win it with their defense. Browns at the Commanders. Commanders favored by 3 at home. Hey, I'm not picking right now. I think I'd pick the Commanders over just about anybody in the league, and I'm not joking. Right now, they are the best football. I don't have them at the top of my power rankings, so it may sound a little contrarian. Need to see more from them before I jump them all the way up to the number 1 spot. Look at what the Vikings have done. So, love the Commanders. Commanders, Vikings right now. Who would I pick? I'd probably pick the Vikings. But in this one, I'm taking the Commanders, the home favorite. Roll with them. Raiders at the Broncos. And the Broncos, a bit of an enigma. They're winning with very little offense. And the Raiders, a little bit in disarray. Is Devontae Adams on his way out? Could be by Sunday. I don't know. We'll see. I'm taking the Broncos. Again, another home favorite, favored by 3. Still like Bo Nix a lot. I'd like to see him have one really good outing with his arm. But I think he's going to work out for the Broncos in the long run. Cardinals at the 49ers. 49ers are favored by 7.5. And it looks like CMC still won't be there. Not sure about Kittle. But the 49ers are going to win this game. Cardinals coming off a really bad loss to the Commanders. But I think the Cardinals will cover. I think the Cardinals will keep this close. Take the Cardinals in the 7.5 points. That might be my bet of the week if I was a betting man, but take the 49ers straight up. Let's see, we get the Giants at the Seahawks. Seahawks favored by 6. I think the Giants will keep it interesting. Apparently their offensive line is starting to play well. That's what I read anyways. But Seahawks at home, tough to pick against them in this game. They have something to prove after a bad loss in Detroit. I mean, they made a game of it into the second half. A lot of things just broke against them, which never happens against the Seahawks. It really pretty rare. So maybe that Pete Carroll, Russell Wilson magic has disappeared forever. We'll have to see. Cowboys at the Steelers. Steelers favored by 2.5. They're at home. This was probably the toughest game for me to pick. Cowboys are going to be down a couple guys on defense. Steelers defense has been playing really well. But I think the Cowboys are going to find a way to put some points up. Dak Prescott is a really good regular season quarterback. This is a tough matchup for them. Coming off a trip to New York. Now they go back to Pittsburgh. But I just, the Steelers offense just doesn't really excite me. Justin Fields, he's going to have to do some damage with his legs. Going to be a close game. I'm kind of, this is a coin toss game for me, but I'm going with the Cowboys. I just think they're the better team, even without those two defensive stars. Dak Prescott, CeeDee Lamb could be the difference makers here. Now we get the Saints at the Chiefs. Another very interesting game. Chiefs are favored by 5. They're at home. These teams don't play very often. I think it's the, 12th time they've played, something like that. And, I'm really, really tempted to take the Saints, but I just don't see the Chiefs losing at home. This is a game I wouldn't touch straight up or with the point. The Saints will probably cover. I think they'll keep it interesting. Chiefs defense is going to have to rise to the occasion. No Isaiah Pacheco, no Rashid Rice. Kareem Hunt, the primary ball carrier still apparently, but I'll take the Chiefs, and I don't feel real. I really want to take the Saints, but I just have the sense that I'd regret it. And then we have the Packers at the Rams. Rams 3.5-point underdogs at home. So you know what that means is, well, are they really giving the Rams points for the home field advantage? There's going to be a lot of Packer fans there. And don't discount the Rams' chances in this game. If you look at Ian's film studies, this orchestrated Rams study of this game, you'll see that the Rams, for much of this game, outplayed the Bears. Couldn't get it done in the red zone, and that fumble at the 16-yard line, that was a difference maker. Gave the Bears one short field. Bears did not earn that touchdown. Rams just made it too easy for them. The Packers are a better team than the Bears, better defensively, lots of weapons on offense. Josh Jacobs is the one that really concerns me. Rams secondary, as much as we slam them, they actually did a good job eliminating big plays by the Bears wide receivers, and the Bears have some good wide receivers, right? DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. They didn't do a lot against the Rams defense. So now you got the Packers with Jordan Love. They got Tucker Kraft at tight end and some good receivers. Josh Jacobs is the difference, though. The Packers are going to hammer away at this Rams defense until the Rams can prove that they can stop it. But I got this feeling. I got this weird feeling that the Rams are going to finally have some breaks go their way, a strip sack, a pick six, especially if D. Will plays. You know what? I'm going to go ahead and make a prediction here. D. Will's going to have a pick six. Now, hopefully he better play after I made that prediction. I think he will. The fact that the Rams moved Cam Lampkin, the defensive back, the cornerback, off their roster, I think it was Tuesday, it's an indication D. Will's coming back, unless it's an indication Witherspoon is in game shape, ready to take on more than 11 snaps like he did last week. But one of these guys is going to make a big play. The Rams are going to get a couple turnovers finally. And, if you look at this, the 49er game In the second half, a lot of things broke the Rams' way. And every other game that they've played, very little has broken their way. Just weird plays that have gone against them over and over and over again. Inability to bring down quarterbacks, great receptions by the opposition, missed opportunities at takeaways. Hey, this is the game. Things break the Rams' way. Rams win. Not predicting a score here. I'll save that for my Rams-Packers preview. Rams get to 2-3 going into the bye, and that is just going to be so big for this team. They come back out of the bye a little bit healthier, 2-3, and ready to make a run at a wild card playoff spot and maybe the division championship. I wouldn't go so far as to say that. Their schedule is so tough. I think at this point, our best case scenario is a wild card spot for our Rams. But that's it. That's my Rams Up Straight Up picks. We'll see how Pete and I do, and we'll compare again next week out here from Rams Up. That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.